thanks for taking a look. We're going to start a series today called Popular. Now, maybe you have a different understanding of what popular is, but for me and what I think of when popular, it's the people that people follow, people want to watch, people want to be like. And I want you to think right now of the most famous person on earth. Just picture them in your mind, what they look like, what do they do, what makes them popular. No doubt, if you're watching this video, you have a different idea than maybe someone else that's watching this video. Maybe the most famous person to you is a sports person like LeBron James, or maybe it's a YouTuber, or it's a musician. Maybe it's someone that you follow on social media like Instagram, and someone that's that has a lot of followers that you think is the most famous person in the entire world. You know, when I ask that question, the reason that we get so many different answers on who is the most famous is because what matters to all of us is different. What's important to all of us is different. It may be that sports is your life, and so you're going to gravitate towards an athlete. In particular, maybe it's basketball or baseball or football, but that person is probably the person you're going to think is the most famous. Or maybe you really love music. And when it boils down to it, when someone is famous, we can look at them and know that they are just really influential. That's why there's this new thing that people literally, their job title or what they are called is influencers. They literally, their job is to influence people to do certain things. Maybe it's to wear a certain shirt or a certain type of jewelry, or it's to eat a certain place. They're influencers. They are literally have tons of people that follow them, that watch them, that want to be like them, and they have influence over a lot of people. You can look at their Twitter, their Instagram, their YouTube, and they have all of these people that are following or their subscribers, and they have influence, and we see that. Some people have millions of people that will follow them on social media, and so we see their influence is huge. But throughout this whole series, what I want to challenge you to is, even though you may not have millions of subscribers or millions of followers on your social media accounts, doesn't mean that you don't have influence. Even our 6th grade friends, our 12th grade friends, if you're in middle school and high school, you still have influence on people, especially the people around you. The things that you post matter. It may not be going out to 1 million people, but it's probably going out to a few hundred, or even 10, or even 2 people that are going to see it. And so you have influence. And what you do with that influence, it matters. And I know that you think, well, I'll never be like those people that have millions of people that follow them and watch them. And maybe you have a reason to feel that way. Maybe you don't want to be that person. Maybe that scares you to think, oh my gosh, I can't have that many people following me. That's too much pressure. We feel like a lot of times for us that this is unattainable, that nobody cares what I do. Nobody wants to be like me. And what I want to just challenge you through this whole series is, don't think about people that are influential as only being people that have people that follow them on social media, or it's the people that are in the news all the time. Each and every single one of us has influence, and we can choose how we use that influence, whether we're going to use that influence for good or for positivity, or if we're going to use that influence for bad or for negativity. And in the book of John, I want to share a story. I know that most of you that are watching this video have heard this story, but I'm going to read from the Gospel of John, and I want you to listen to this story, and we're going to kind of point out some things that maybe you haven't thought of before as you read this story. John chapter 6, starting with verse 8. Then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is that with this huge crowd? Tell everyone to sit down," Jesus said. So they all sat down on the grassy slopes. The men alone numbered about 5,000. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and distributed them to the people. Afterward, he did the same with the fish, and they all ate as much as they wanted. After everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, "Now gather the leftovers so that nothing is wasted." So they picked up the pieces and filled 12 baskets with scraps left by the people who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves. When the people saw him do this miraculous sign, they exclaimed, "Surely he is the prophet we have been expecting." So let's call out the elephant in the room. I doubt that when this little boy left his home that morning, he thought, you know what, I'm going to feed 5,000 people. I bet he even thought that what I have for lunch is insignificant. Maybe it was his favorite lunch. Maybe it was just what his mom said you're going to have today. That's all we have in the house. I don't know. But I doubt he thought, leaving with these fish and these loaves of bread, that these were going to be enough to feed 5,000 people. Now, I thought about this as I was kind of reading through my notes and I was getting ready today. But I doubt that little boy was the only person in that crowd with any food. I doubt that he was the only person that had food on him. Now, it says in here that it was 5,000 men, but there was probably some mothers and some children around as well. And I don't know about you, but I know that when moms go out, they usually pack plenty of snacks, right? And I would imagine even back then that they left the house and they would have some food because they would have their kids that they needed to feed. But for some reason, that day, Jesus decided to use this little boy's lunch. He decided to use this meal that this boy had. He decided to show this young man that his influence mattered, that what he had to offer was significant. He chose to say, you know what you feel like is really not enough, is not significant in any means other than to be able to feed you, can actually be more than what you think it is. And I know some of you are like, okay, how are we getting this from fishes and loaves? I don't understand this. I want to tell you that I think the parallels that we see between this story and our lives today are huge. That there is so much that we have to offer, but often we look at ourselves, we look at what we have and we say, well, it's just 2 fish and 5 loaves. Or we say, well, it's just a little bit of ability to sing, or it's just a little bit of ability to play this, or to draw this, or to speak and not be nervous. It's just this. And we use this phrase of, well, it's just. And what God is looking at us and he's saying is, no, that is amazing. I can use that. So you have influence, and God can take that influence. What you think is small and insignificant, God can take and make and use in big ways. You see, you have the ability and the power to influence. You have that inside of you. And it's easy for us to just sit and to minimize what God has given us and to say, well, it's not really enough to feed 5,000. Maybe that's not what God needs you to do right now. Maybe God needs you to influence and empower and to help just a couple people in your inner circle. And if you do that, maybe later on in your life, that will expand your influence. Most of the people that we even see today that are considered influencers, that have millions of people that follow them, they didn't start out that way. It wasn't just boom, all of a sudden that happened. It took years of making the right decision here, a little decision here, a little decision there, a little decision there that put them in the spotlight, and now millions of people are following and watching them. And so I want to tell you that there are 2 things that you can kind of see from this. That number 1, you can have influence right where you're at, and it doesn't have to be huge. But number 2, I want you to understand that God can take what you think is small and he can use it in a big, big way. Throughout this whole series, we're going to talk about not just how we can be popular. That's just a catchy little title, but really this is going to be all about influence. This is going to be about how you can take what God has given to you, talents, abilities, passions, strengths, how you can take that and how you can use that so people can know who God is. They can see Jesus in you because you're willing to take what's small and insignificant to you and make it significant through Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross. And so through this whole series, it's going to be a few weeks. I just want to encourage you to listen and to understand right where you're at, that you can have influence, that you can be a part of the change that this world needs to see, and that is through Jesus Christ. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You can even comment on the video. We're going to post a few more weeks of this, but I hope you know and understand that God can take what you have and he can do big things through it, even right where you're at today. I'll see you again soon.